In this video I am talking about Sony 50mm f2.8 macro lens. If you are here for the first time, my name is Pav, and on this channel I talk about all things photography and video, gear reviews, tutorials and more. If this is something that you are interested in, then please consider subscribing. This 50mm macro lens have been out for a while. It is slightly newer than the legendary, this one, 90mm, but it's a lens that somehow faded into Sony's lens catalog obscurity. I actually didn't even know about it until recently, but before I go into the details, I must say massive thanks to GEEK Digital for fixing me with this copy of the lens for this review. However, I was not paid or asked to say anything specific about it by GEEK Digital, Sony or anyone else, so this is my honest and 100% unbiased opinion about this lens. So why is this lens hiding from the spotlight? 50mm, my favorite focal length, very versatile focal length, giving a very natural perspective of the world with added extra bonus, true one-to-one macro magnification. What's not to like? Performance this lens delivers is just outstanding in my opinion. I have been using this 90mm macro on daily basis for nearly a year now, and this doesn't feel like a worse lens, less sharp or harder to use. In fact, it offers more user-friendly focal length for everyday use than 90mm does. It is obviously a macro lens that does deliver true one-to-one life-size magnification, and it will focus on anything just literally 5 centimeters away from the end of the lens. The depth of field at those life-size magnifications is super shallow, so you always need more light when going in this close to be able to close the aperture as much as possible to get as much sharpness in the photos and videos as possible. The autofocus is slow, just like with all macro lenses, but in fact when you get into the right focus range, it performs pretty well. On par, if not better than my 90mm for sure. You have to remember that the focus has to travel very long way from super close one-to-one macro to infinity. That's why the AF will always be slow, and even manual focusing will take few turns to get from one end to another on macro lenses, but the AF here does work as it's supposed to, and I had no issues with it. The best thing about this lens is that it is a standard nifty 50. Small, light and good enough to shoot anything from landscape to portrait to super close without changing lenses. It's great to capture something as is and then go closer, and then even closer to it and discover a completely new and interesting perspective and view of everyday things. The contrast and colors are great. There is literally no flaring, almost no chromatic aberration. There is a bit, and the lens is sharp. Even wide open in my real world test, I had no issues acquiring the focus and getting sharp results. Closing the aperture down, going to f4 and f8 will give you superb edge-to-edge sharpness and help to keep depth of field at bay when shooting macro. No built-in stabilization, but camera's IBIS can take care of that if your camera has got built-in IBIS, and I had no issues with shooting slower shutter speeds even at macro close-ups handheld at all. Overall, I think it's a great little package that not only can deliver great results, but also one that is very versatile and truly fun to use. Video performance is solid. For shooting at macro, you will need tripod for sure, as even the smallest movement will be hugely magnified. But for everyday use as a nifty 50, it is pretty good if you take the length of the focus travel from one-to-one macro to infinity into consideration. No huge focus distance changes, and this will manage everyday stuff okay. Maybe not spectacular, but certainly reliable when used correctly. The build and overall feel of the lens is very similar to very popular 85mm f1.8 FE, but smaller and lighter. The term nifty 50 certainly fits well here. It is small, just over 7 centimeters long, and it weighs only 236 grams, which makes it pretty much a featherlight. It feels solid and well built, although it is pretty much all hard plastic. There are 3 switches on the lens: standard auto manual focus on and off switch, AF hold button that can be programmed to different functions via the camera, and very important on macro lenses, focus distance limiter. This has got 3 positions: full, which will give you The full range from infinity to 1:1 macro, infinity to 30 centimeters, which is a range of pretty much every standard 50mm prime, and finally 30 centimeters to minimum focusing distance of 16 centimeters, macro range only. Limiting your focusing range to whatever you are shooting makes the focusing certainly a little bit quicker and easier. The minimum focusing distance is 16 centimeters, but that's from the camera's sensor. In reality, it is only about 5 centimeters from the front element. To obtain focusing at close ranges, the lens extends a bit, making it a little bit longer. I like that they've added the magnification and distance scales printed on the bit that comes out from inside of the lens and extends out. It really helps to see what exactly is happening when you try to autofocus at macro magnifications or when manually focusing. You just instantly know if you are going in the right direction with your focusing in auto or manual. There is no supplied lens hood, but the front glass element is recessed quite far back from the front of the lens. So yeah, you won't bang it or anything. There is no proper weather sealing, but dust and moisture resistant design. Basically, it means that if you wet it, it's on your own risk. So avoid getting it wet or dropping it in the sand on the beach. Yeah, you wouldn't want to do that anyway. This lens retails for £459 here in UK and about $500 in US. This makes it half price of the Sony's macro flagship 90mm. But is the 90mm twice better than this? Certainly not. This is a very well priced autofocusing macro lens that can really compete with its big sibling. To me, the results are pretty much on par, and considering that it is smaller, lighter, and this much cheaper, a perfect choice if you are new to macro photography and don't want to invest a lot of money in a lens that does only one thing: macro. Conclusion, I love this little lens. I also love this 90mm f2.8 macro, and this is as good as the 90mm with a wider focal length for everyday shooting. When you shoot a lot of photos like me with variety of primes and zoom lenses, when you go out with just one lens, you want something that is more than just one trick pony. A lens that can do the standard stuff at given focal length, but also something that can easily give you that something special, different, something to be creative with, and something that makes you want to shoot more photos. This lens ticks all the boxes, perfect for pretty much everything from landscape, portrait, product, food, and of course the proper 1:1 macro. And this is it from me. If you like this video, then please give me the thumbs up. If you like this kind of content, cameras, lenses, photography, video tutorials, then please consider subscribing. Support the channel. Check out my t-shirt merch store when you can buy these, buy me a coffee, or just simply comment below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Closing the aperture down, going to f4 and f8 will give you superb edge-to-edge sharpness. There's no proper weather sealing, but dust and moisture. There is no proper conclusion, and we're done. It's a wrap.